Another
Well,
fact.
I'm not allowed to talk about a book that I'm reading here, lady, and what it makes me think about.
I didn't say you weren't allowed. It's boring.
It's so boring to leave the room.
That I was cold. I needed to take my medicine. I thought we were going to end half an hour ago.
Oh, I can't talk about the book for 5 minutes.
And I don't want to have to, I don't want to hear it.
Here we are, Abe Cast Iron Brains, a podcast that would like to remind everyone that if you're going to derange your entire political and cultural discourse over a silly ad in which a pun is made about jeans, make sure she's hot. My name is Bob, sitting across the way from my good friend and co-host. That's Abe. How you doing tonight, Abe?
Doing well, Bob.
Yeah, here we are. Lori's here too. How you doing tonight, Lori?
I'm good. I sent you an article. Are we going to talk about bread?
Oh, the bread, the scam that the Panera is pulling.
Lori wants to know if we're going to talk about bread. Tonight is Monday, August 4th, 2025. We're a little bit late to discuss the news of the last couple of weeks, having taken off last week from any recording whatsoever.
Did we?
We did, because I went to South Carolina and
Oh, that's right.
Atlanta to visit family, a good visit with family down in Georgia and South Carolina, and didn't feel the need to record because we knew that Abe was coming to visit over the weekend, and Abe is freshly back in Atlanta now after having spent this most recent weekend, Friday through Sunday, here in Charlottesville. Did you have a nice trip, Abe?
Yeah, I was about to say, are you going to ask me how my weekend went?
I sure am. Yeah. How would you rate us as hosts?
Top-notch host. I had a great time as usual. This year was different. We did like an outing. I think we did like a little walk somewhere. Didn't we? We
went on a hike once.
On a hike once. So that was another fun outing. But typically we just kind of just stay in and just hang out. We went to an amusement park near where you guys live, King Mountain or something.
King's Dominion. It's in is it Doswell, Virginia. Is that right?
North of Richmond, yes.
Doswell, Virginia. King's Dominion. It's a sort of a lesser theme park, but a great theme park nonetheless.
I mean, okay, so you say lesser. You're more well-versed in this world. I have not. I still can't pinpoint the exact year where I went there last, but it's at least 18 to 20 years ago. And so it's been a long time.
You have so little memory of the situation that you're not even sure like who you went with in order to be able to
I don't know
ask.
the circumstance. I do remember I went to like Whitewater or whatever. There's one here in Georgia, some sort of like water park.
Oh, that's right there next
brother.
to Six Flags, right?
Yes. So I remember that, but it's around the same time frame. Basically, it's been a while since I've been there.
Is it possible that 20 years ago you were an avid theme park enthusiast, and in fact were a season pass holder at Six Flags and Whitewater,
and went every week.
And went like every week for 2 summers, and you've just completely forgotten about it?
It's inconceivable that that's true. Like I would remember it, but
I know you cannot conceive of it.
Yes, but like if something was like a really good experience, even if I forget it, would remember if I was a member of some season pass person, or if I had like such an awful time, I would remember it. It must have been like not a significant event, because the only thing I can remember is waiting in lines. I don't remember when it was. I don't know who I was with. I just remember waiting, it being hot, and me thinking
it's a
like
sick
that's
burn
enough
to
of that.
someone.
Yeah, and so like but having said that, a wonderful time. It's not gonna be another 18 to 20 years before I visit another amusement park. In fact, I may be like becoming an amusement park degenerate, in the coming years.
You can just say enthusiast. That's what they call them. I can send you a lot of Facebook groups to join.
Don't join the Facebook. Don't look at the Facebook groups. They're
okay, I'll plan all your trips for you then.
Weirdos.
But I typically will, at least in the last couple of years and going forward every year, try to incorporate some solo road trips to like, not the biggest cities, like places like Cincinnati or Pittsburgh, And I'm thinking like in the future, if I'm like, let's say next year, I'm going to try to get to Detroit, like on the way up there, if there's something near Michigan that's like, Six Flags over Michigan or something, I don't know, I'm just making it up. I will make a point to go there, for at least half a day.
Yeah.
It'll be great.
So it sounds like a positive experience then.
Yes.
I don't mean to besmirch King's Dominion. It's a perfectly fine theme park. It's just not. It's much more just rides, and you walk around and you find that it's not themed in the way that like Disney World is or Universal is. It's even more lightly themed than a place like Busch Gardens, Williamsburg, where it's like very clearly, oh, you're in this land now, and it is all centered around one. Not that that matters too terribly much, but it also speaks to like the amount of care and effort that goes into the entire presentation. So just the fact that they have developed a theme for a certain area means they're going to be putting in a certain amount of work in maintaining that theme, and there's not as much of that at King's Dominion.
So a unified theme was missing. They did have that clown band. Did Busch Gardens and others,
They
did they have any
did
sort
have
of
a clown band.
bands there?
I don't know if
Busch Gardens doesn't have roaming things as much as they have a lot more shows, like like permanent fixture hourly shows.
Right, like because we saw that
There's an Irish one.
that Irish bullshit step dancing thing.
There's like a German one. There's also like a main stage where there's a band just kind of playing. It's a little more whatever.
Yeah, and also like the rides are good, but there aren't as many great rides at King's Dominion as there are at other theme parks like Busch Gardens, for example.
One of them was closed, but Lori, you shared that this person had like a list of 500 amusement parks, and King's Dominion, whatever, there were like a couple of them that peppered the top 20. So it's not like they had, terrible rides. That Twisted,
No, they're
whatever.
great. Bob is wrong.
No, Twisted Timbers is like legitimately one of the best roller coasters I've ever been on, and that is at King's Dominion, and that's cool. And a couple of the other ones are also really fun.
Just to be clear, your opinion on the rides of the different rides that were there, your experience in the bathroom had nothing to do with your negative view, right? Like,
I mean, yeah, in part. My experience in the bathroom, the experience of the public.
The public, yeah. You're not a big...
People say this. They're just like, oh, Busch Gardens is just much nicer. And what they mean is there are more white people at Busch Gardens.
Hey now, that's not what I mean.
Okay, say what you mean.
To be clear, that is not at all what I mean. My experience at Busch Gardens was of a very diverse crowd, and similarly, if perhaps slightly, you can't say it's more diverse. It was less diverse at at King's Dominion. I believe I made a crack at one point. Abe, you said, where are all these people coming from? And I said, well, Newport News mostly. And that was, and you reacted innocently, and I said, oh no, that was a racist joke. I did a racism just there.
Yeah, I didn't connect. That city did not register in my head immediately, but like Lori mentioned, clarified what it was. But
I'm not complaining about the black folks.
You're also complaining about
the amount of them.
No, it's just ridiculous that I even have to say those words.
Well, of course.
What I'm referring to is the socioeconomic status or class of the people who we were surrounded by. And the simple fact of the matter is, if there are 5 quintiles of American socioeconomic status, I would say that I believe I said at Busch Gardens there was a lot of, if you're going 1 through 5, like 1 being the poorest, 5 being the richest, a lot of 2s and 3s at Busch Gardens, and I think a lot of 2s and 3s at King's Dominion as well, with a smattering of more 2s than 3s, and perhaps more 3s than 2s at Williamsburg.
There were these 2 innocent people who were just going about their life. I remember you made some comment about how they were like ripped from like an 80s like Russian like movie. Like they just had like a demeanor to them that you did not appreciate.
I believe we were standing in line at some roller coaster or another.
That was Twisted Timbers.
At Twisted Timbers. I said some humans, some people they're just completely out of time. Like they've just come unstuck in time in some way. And you say, what do you mean, Bob? And I said, these two gentlemen over here, for example, look like, if I had to pick 3 words, I'd say 80s Eurotrash. And then Lori's like, those are 2 words. And I said, I disagree. I believe Eurotrash is a hyphenate.
And none of us had our phones because we weren't allowed to carry them onto the ride, so none of us could Google it.
Yeah.
That's right.
And they do. They looked like, you said Russian. I disagree. I'd say German. They look
German,
like...
That's right. I think you did say German, yes.
Drunken, like permanently drunk slovenly Germans from like 1985 or so. And those were not, those were the, I mean, that's what I'm not complaining about them either, but I'm not complaining about anybody. I'm just saying one's exposure to the broad swath of humanity, wherein the broad swath of humanity, it feels more pressing when it's those lower quintiles of our fellow human being. I don't mean that in a negative way. I'm not issuing judgment. It's just if I'm around 100,000 people who mostly listen to NPR and do things like that, I don't think that I would feel their humanity pressing upon me in quite the same way as I feel when they're of a poorer set.
Just so there's some perspective here, because I don't have anything to compare this to. You're rating your fellow man at King's Dominion at the 2-3 range. Where would people at Disney or Dollywood and other locations? I mean, is there like a ceiling?
Like Dollywood.
If you're like an amusement park goer, you're
Here's
topping
the
it
thing.
at 5 or 6.
Disney feels like a 3-4 to me.
Well,
Okay.
also, but the true top tier, they get to experience these things with all the perks, so you don't see them.
Okay.
Like, they get the VIP tours, they get all the fast passes.
Right.
They're
golf
never
carts.
stuck anywhere.
Yeah.
You're never they are never corralled with me.
Right.
Is how that it's not. I'm not stuck with them. They're not stuck with me.
So I see. So if we
You
are
don't see. So they come.
right,
But probably not to King's Dominion. But when they go to Disney or Universal, they are whisked through the park.
So if we're around and people who we are rating at 2 to 3 or 4 or 5, we are also 2 to 3. 4, we're in that range, because if we're higher
We're not
than them,
5.
we would be elsewhere, right? Like, so by
4.
virtue of us being there.
Look, I don't claim to be above anybody by any stretch of any imagination. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying that I feel apart to some extent. And it comes. By the way, similar situation on Saturday at the park in terms of no MAGA gear spotted the entire time. A couple of obvious Republicans, including a gentleman in a T-shirt that had the acronym DAD,
With a lot of
DADD,
Ds, right?
which is
I did
Dads Against Daughters Dating Democrats, I think was the full DADDD.
Yeah. And he spelled out Democrat in the right way. You know, usually sometimes they'll throw in like Demon Rat or Dumb-ocrat or something like that, but he stuck to his,
I'll note that he and his entire extended family, with whom he was walking around with, cut the line in a way that it was against the rules.
Did they?
Not in a big deal, but you at this Racer 75, which was the roller coaster that we were getting on when I saw this gentleman. A term used loosely.
Yeah.
Used to be called Rebel Yell, should be said. The ride was called the Rebel Yell.
I'll bet he would have been fine with that. He's probably mad about that change in names. But
I mean, I kind of am too.
They get on the left side, which is going to be one roller. The way that this roller coaster works is
It's just twins.
You have dueling roller coasters, so it's the same track,
right?
The same cars, except that they're separated by
mirrors itself
by the middle, so it's a mirror, yes. And they send them off at the same time, so it's like you're in a race against the other roller coaster. Pretty good gimmick. Unfortunately, obviously rigged.
It's definitely rigged. Yes.
Yeah, the left side wins every time, or at least while we were there. And anyway, so he and his family had gotten in the left queue. But the left queue and the right queue follow the same path, just divided by.
Second? I don't think it's rigged, because back when I was a kid and one went forward and one went backward, they wouldn't go at the same time. They are two separately controlled mechanisms that the people pressing the buttons, like when you do the 3, 2, 1, go button, I think
I don't
this
know.
is just
I think-
human.
I think we took off at the same time, but the one on the left,
But
both
that could
times-
be a weight thing.
I don't know.
I don't think, because they used to run separately,
Right.
completely separately.
Yeah, because I don't think they're quite identical. The tracks are not quite perfectly identical, but I could be wrong. You might be
Also,
right.
I
I'm sure
mean,
the Wikipedia can enlighten us on this topic.
At the very least, no one has any control over the speed, right? Anyone that's riding, so it's just going to be whatever it's going to be, right? So however,
Right. It does make it amusing though, as you're climbing the hill.
Yeah.
That first climb, and you look over at the person next to you, and you're like, should we do the thing where we like pretend to fight about who's going to be faster? And then somebody at some point decides, and then boo! That sort of thing.
Right.
Anyway, the dad against daughters dating Democrats skipped from the left queue into the right queue about halfway through, and you're not supposed to do that.
He wasn't cutting in front of anyone.
He cut in front of us. He cut in front of our party.
But if they had just walked to the other side,
Then they would not have been in front of us. They would have been on the other roller coaster. They effectively cut in front of us. I mean, I don't want the guy thrown out of the park necessarily just because of that. But yeah, so there was that guy, obvious Republican, a couple of other people very clearly decked out in patriotic fervor style gear that suggested certain leanings, but nothing outright
Right.
MAGA about them. But as we pointed out consistently through the day, numerous Tupac
Yes.
paraphernalias.
the AI of Google says that it is weight distribution, track conditions, and luck.
Don't know about that, Gemini.
Okay.
Luck.
But it's just a lot of rabble, is all I'm saying. As I think I said to you at a different time throughout the day, it's like it really is real America that we're out here in the theme park with. It's just a bunch of non-voting interracial couples just all hanging out together, not thinking about anything except when they're going to get their next batch of French fries and bad pizza.
Not including Disney and those kind of fancy places, but like have prices remain pretty affordable for people at these like lower tier amusement parks? Like, is it like a good family value to go take the family out on an amusement park day? Like,
You say remain. I don't have anything to compare it to.
I remember you used to be able to like collect a Coca-Cola can
Get a Coke can
and get half off of a
but
Six
I feel
Flags
like it was
ticket or something.
$60.
It was
like $60 to go to King's Dominion in my head, which
Yeah.
felt so expensive when you were 16. You know,
and what is
Yeah.
it now?
like that's
what's
why
the
I mean I don't have anything to compare it to.
I mean, so the five of us went to King's Dominion and got two meal passes or whatever for like $500 basically. That's a perfectly reasonable
Right.
amount of money to spend on what turned into
Full
like
day.
a 15-hour day, right?
right.
So yeah, like I don't know, $100 a person roughly if you want to go there. And I mean, we ate the food there, which wasn't entirely advisable, but you got to eat something throughout the day. But yeah, not outrageous, right?
Right.
We also went on a Saturday at the end of summer when that's full freight basically. Like that was not, we weren't getting any sort of cut rate.
Supposedly we were.
Yeah, but like you're not gonna, you would be hard pressed to spend more at King's Dominion than we did, I think, and it was still perfectly reasonable in terms of a full day experience, I think. The only thing that Abe begged off of, you begged off of one ride the whole day, Abe,
Yes.
and it was the tower drop ride where they put you in this big circle
Yes.
and they haul your ass up super high into the air, like just in a seat with
up.
dangly feet. You're sitting in a seat with the shoulder strap on, and then they just take you all the way up, and then they slam you down quickly into the ground. It's not just free fall; it is in fact you're pulled down faster than gravity would normally take you. And you watched that one from the sidelines
Yes.
like a coward.
Yes, I did. I enjoyed a lot of the rides where there was ample speed. I enjoyed the speed. I just want to be able to see the speed, and I just thought like my stomach would not tolerate it, and it would be something I guess I can look forward to in a future amusement ride. But I was like, I don't need to ride every single ride, but I did ride.
It is in its own way very unpleasant.
What is?
The drop tower.
The feeling of being yanked straight
it's
down
sort
200
of horrible.
feet or whatever.
Yeah.
I get why people hate it.
It's not a pleasant feeling.
I love it.
And it doesn't do anything. I like the.
It is sort of a direct experience of mortal terror that you're going to survive, though. And so as much as I don't enjoy the stomach drop feeling of having, that it's induced nausea. Who the fuck wants to have induced nausea, right? What the hell is wrong with you? But the feeling of the fear and anticipation of having gotten to the top, and then you have a 3-second or a 5-second count before then you plummet to earth at insane speeds, and knowing that you're going to be fine, right? It's a fun thing to do to one's brain, if less so to do to one's intestines and stomach. The only I was trying to think, name the ride that you wouldn't necessarily do again, and I think the only one that I would not do again was they have this thing which is similarly situated. It's just a big circle, and you strap in. And then they swing you back and forth like you're on one of those pirate boats that they used to have at carnivals and fairs. But this one also spins on its central axis. So it's whipping you up to, 45 or 60 degrees relative to the ground. And then it's also spinning the whole time.
It was above 45 degrees. Above
90 degrees, right. Above, beyond 90 degrees. But you never quite get to 180 or anywhere near really 180.
Close. Right.
But that's also not just gravity. That's a motor pulling you all the way up and then forcing you down fast, and it's spinning the whole time. And I don't know. I think I'd probably pass on that one if we were to go back again tomorrow or something like that.
Yeah, that was you can kind of take or leave, but mostly, like I said, I don't have much to compare it to. I enjoyed just about all of the rides, even the one that was in that enclosed building. That was you can't see much, Yeah. It starts off pretty strong, and then you're in the dark for a little bit. There were a lot of good rides, at least for me.
Yeah. No, it's fun. Roller coasters are great, as we said.
I like that this has turned into
on this show a month ago.
Theme park podcast.
Yeah, we are now officially
That's right.
just a theme park recap podcast, wherein I mostly complain about my fellow Americans who are less economically advantaged than we are.
Yeah, there were a lot of those sort of people at the Buc-ee's on the way back.
My favorite part of the night, in terms of my interaction with my fellow humans there at the theme park, was when we're standing in line to get funnel cake on the way out of the park, which is how you know that your decadence has reached levels that you previously thought you were beyond. You would never stoop to such a level as to get in one of the longest lines of the entire day as the park is closing in order to get a paper plate just covered in fried dough and powdered sugar.
I can't get it anywhere else. Maybe at Buc-ee's.
What sort of a psychopath would do such a thing? And I would, no doubt, if I were on my own, snootily gaze upon the line of my fellow Americans who were doing such an activity. I married, as it turns out, someone who engages in such activity. And so we were standing in line. And
also, a theme park at night is one of the greatest things. Just to soak in theme park at night for a few more moments is a gift.
Yeah, sure. We're lined up next to an ice cream cafe or whatever, a building where you go inside and get ice cream. Completely empty. An occasional customer would stroll through and get some ice cream or what have you.
But also from
I have ice cream in my freezer upstairs.
From a certain vantage point, it almost seems like people are waiting in line for that ice cream store, but it actually
right, even though the ice cream shop is empty.
Yeah, you're like, wow, they must be pretty behind.
But that's because you have to go around the corner, past the ice cream shop exit doors, and then another 30 feet to the front door of the funnel cake shop, and there's 25 feet in front of you still before you make it to the counter. Anyway, there's a guy who was walking past the line in order to attempt to find the end of the line of the funnel cakes. And he said, this is an older African-American gentleman, and for some reason, out of all of the people in the line, he deigned to ask me the question. I guess I look like the sort of person who you can ask a question of and get a reasonable answer from. And he said, "Is this the line for the funnel cakes?" And I said, "Yeah, that's what we're doing." And he said, "Oh." And then he went and got in line at the back of the line because he wanted some funnel cake.
He knows.
Yeah.
Yes. Did you think that he was
we
making
had a moment
some sort
where
of
we were equally chagrined
Yeah.
by our fate, which
Right.
is to be two grown men standing in line for funnel cake at 10 o'clock at night.
right at the beginning of his inquiry? Were you thinking like he is like you in another set of circumstance where he's like judging, like you guys waiting in line and not like?
No, I sort of picked up that he was trying to figure out, like, wait, am I going to be jumping the line if I just stand in
see.
front of these people? Like, he was trying to figure things out, but there was an element of chagrin there that I picked up on.
I see.
Seemed like a nice guy. Yeah. Anyway, a wonderful day at the park. The bathrooms, as you hinted at earlier, were an absolute nightmare. And, like, at no point did I walk into a bathroom throughout the day and see evidence of excessive human waste. Like, it's not like they were going in there and smearing shit on the walls. Right. Literally.
Just smelled like it.
It just absolutely smelled like someone had died in all of the stalls. And like it had just recently, they just removed the corpse, right? Like, or like they had died spectacularly and been misted into the walls. Right. And that as I'm walking in, I'm just breathing in the contents of my fellow 2 and 3 decile or 2 and 3 quintile of the American socioeconomic status class, the insides of their colons and their intestines, and it was overwhelming to the point of similarly being nausea-inducing, actually. And like I say, it's not anybody's fault. It's just when you put that many people in a confined space and they begin eliminating, it becomes aerosolized and unpleasant for all involved.
It doesn't help that it's a lot of soda drinking, a lot of fried foods, not a lot of fiber, just a perfect storm of just bathroom shenanigans.
Not a lot of fiber is a very good way to describe our experience of what we ate that day.
We ate chicken strips and French fries.
Yeah. And we ate them like 4 times. But it's fine. It's good.
Yeah, good times.
And then Abe and I, we got back to Charlottesville around midnight or so, and the kids straight to bed. Lori practically falling asleep on her way up the steps to our house, and there's only like 3 of those steps, so she was barely standing up straight. And then Abe and I decided to stay up late and watch Real Time with Bill Maher.
That's right.
And I had my itchy trigger finger on the pause button so that I could pause it and react in obnoxious fashion throughout the hour, which ended up taking like 2 hours to finish because of just how awful I am as a person to watch TV with.
That was the longest I've watched Bill Maher in one episode. Just like it was like a 1 hour show, but it lasted a good 2 hours.
You want to get your money's worth
That's right,
with old Bill.
My money's worth.
Yeah. Anyway, all right, we should talk about the news of the week or the last couple of weeks, or at least touch on some things. I don't have a lot to say about this silliness. The biggest political news, once you discount the fact that Donald Trump claimed that, and perhaps did in fact, move a couple of nuclear-armed submarines to waters in a threatening position near Russia because he got mad that Dmitry Medvedev said aggressive things on Twitter. And so he decided to move some nuclear subs into range or something. I don't know if anything will become of that. Let's assume not, just because, like, what's the point in worrying too much about it? We've got a couple of dummies talking about how they will blow life off the face of the planet, and
Right. No one really believes them, but it is weird that the weapon of choice is like a catastrophic weapon, right? But you don't think anyone's actually going to do it.
No. And then we've got Texas is attempting to redraw its congressional district map here in 2025. Normally you hear about congressional redistricting after the census, usually in like 2021 or 2022, I think is when most places get them done after they get their information from the U.S. Census Bureau. They're required once every 10 years to redraw maps. Many states, though, there's no limit on how often you're permitted to redraw the maps, and the Texas legislature has seen fit to go ahead and do so now in response to the unfavorable winds that are blowing in terms of the next midterm elections here coming up in 2026, right? The Republicans will be expected to lose a handful of seats in all likelihood, as is just sort of naturally the case. An unpopular president and his party will generally lose seats, but if Texas can get their congressional gerrymander in or district gerrymander in, they will have added 5 seats to the number of Republicans that come out of Texas, and therefore to the overall count in the national Republicans. It is interesting to me that this would happen in such explicit terms, in terms of like, this isn't being driven because there's a need to redistrict Texas to make things more fair, but it's being driven because the big National Republican Party sort of desperately needs every seat that it can get, and that's what's driving the bus here.
Right. And so, like you say, historically, the midterms, the party that won that previous U.S. election, presidential election, they'll suffer some seats losses. In 2018, I think there were about 40 seats that the GOP lost during Trump's first term. The margin this go-around, like going into 26, is like, I think, +3. Like the Republicans have a 3-seat majority in the House. Adding 5 seats, assuming no other state does this in time before 26, because California and New York and Illinois are trying to do some sort of like tit for tat. Like if you're going to fuck around with the seats, districts, so that it favors one side over the other, we'll do the same. But I think the laws in those states, it will take a little bit of time, and it may not be ready by 2026. But let's say 5 is added. So like you have, instead of a 3-seat majority, you have an 8-seat majority. Historically, that's not enough to prevent the inevitable, which is the party shift. Like, instead of Mike Johnson, it's going to be like Hakeem Jeffries being the Speaker of the House. And then it kind of basically makes it almost into a lame duck 2 years for Trump, right? Because like starting in 27 January, when the Democrats take over, if something doesn't go through the House, it's not going to go through anywhere, right? So it's like that could kind of undermine those last 2 years of Trump's second term. So like +5, is that enough of a buffer? Who knows? It may be, because like, in 2022 for Joe Biden, like he didn't lose as many seats as expected, especially with the inflation and all the other numbers that were going against the Democrats during that session. So like it's not clear which way it's going to go, but if it goes against Trump in a big way, 5 seats is not enough, but it may cause this problem going forward to where California can change the law going forward, and New York and Illinois, there may be more than 5 seats in those states. Like in
New York just did theirs, right? Like there was a fight about it because didn't they add 3 or 4 to the Democrat side after their last redistricting?
Yeah, it was weird how because initially there was this attempt to try to make the seat distribution like nonpartisan, right? And I think like they would have like commissions to draw the map, and I think New York was one of those places, and I guess it was too favorable to the Republicans, and so the New York Dems did something to undermine it. I forget how it shook out, but yeah, this was done before. But generally, like you said, it happens after the census, and it doesn't usually happen in the middle of the decade. But again, the numbers, if you go +3 now to +8, it may not be enough, or it could be. I don't know.
It definitely won't be. In Abe fashion, there's a 0% chance that the Republicans maintain their majority after the 2026 midterm elections. I don't see it happening.
Yeah, I mean, unless something changes. But yeah, if things, there were the job numbers are revised down. I mean, a lot of the trends are like maybe prices are going to remain up. A lot of uncertainty in the economy. That doesn't bode well for the party in office because they control all, both chambers in Congress and the White House. So they're going to get the blame. So yeah, 8 is not enough.
Yeah, but also he's just Trump is personally quite unpopular.
Right.
And it is easy to forget that because there's so much lockstep behind him in the Republican Party. But he has an approval rating between 39 and 42%, according to most approval poll averages. And somebody who does not have that much of an appeal is not going to be able to motivate people to win congressional races.
Right. And there won't be like candidates in the GOP running against Trump, right? Because he's going to primary them. You could conceivably have like a Democrat running against Joe Biden because they could do that. Just say like create some distance, but you can't do that on the other side because he'll primary you. So like you kind of like if you're a Republican running in 2026, you're kind of tied to Trump's popularity. Right. And so whatever happens will happen. I will say one thing though. It's interesting that this is a legal thing, drawing a map and using political data to draw the map in such a way that it benefits one party over the other. It's weird that politicians get to pick the voters before the voters can pick the politicians. Like it's a weird system.
And there's nothing. The Supreme Court says nothing about political gerrymandering being unacceptable. Right. It has said that race-based gerrymandering is unacceptable.
Right, but political,
For political reasons, there's nothing about it that is unconstitutional or against the law.
Right, and there's so much data out there.
The AI is going to get, between whatever AI algorithms they use in the future, and just even if it is just humans doing it, because you have such granular information on what happens at every single address in every single town and city in every single congressional district, it's going to become increasingly easy to draw these maps such that the politicians are choosing their voters, as you're saying.
Right.
The Texas Democrats have abandoned ship in order to attempt to prevent the Republicans from getting this done. They are denying them a quorum, which makes it impossible for the Republicans to push this through. It's not clear how long that can last because this is a part-time legislature, as is the case in many states. Where they don't really draw enough money to live, and so they have jobs and stuff. And so if they take off for Illinois or New York...
Yeah, I think they went to New York and Illinois. Also, I think, isn't this session in Texas partly called up because of the weather-related disaster? So it's kind of being like repurposed for this district thing. Because
and this is a special session, and presumably Abbott will just call another special session when this one's mandate is up, and they can force them to be there basically.
Right, this can only delay it. It can't prevent it from happening, and in so delaying it, I guess it raises the profile in the news, so people are more aware of it. I think this has happened in other states where people just leave the state, and then the politicians issue warrants for their arrest that are only valid while you're in those states. I think either Wisconsin or Minnesota. Right. I remember there was a story 10 years ago where the minority party just fucked off. They're we're just going to deny you the quorum, which is you can't proceed without, and that just kind of delayed something for a few weeks or whatever. Basically, kind of raise the issue and then go through with it.
I don't know. We're obviously not going to solve the issue of gerrymandering anytime soon, as long as we have political parties that treat the others as existential threats to the country's future. We will continue to have very little popular upset about gerrymandering because, as you're saying, Texas is doing it now. Hochul in New York has announced or made noises about doing it again in New York. And Illinois and California. What's good for the goose is good for the gander here, as long as the two parties are in effectively a political civil war. Right. This will not be anything that gets solved anytime soon. The biggest states will continue to do this.
Right, and the one troubling aspect of this is, bad behavior that's tolerated begets more bad behavior. So, this is a corrosive kind of action to where, if there's no public response that's bipartisan, this feels weird. You would think why do we need to rig the seats in order for us to win the election? We just won an election in 24. Why would if that was the discourse, that would be one thing. But if it's just like, hey, game it in such a way that my party wins, my team wins, I don't care how you go about it, that encourages more fuckery. And going forward, you're going to have more fuckery. So, and then people are going to complain, like, why is there so much fuckery? Because, like, the feedback is either indifference or tolerance to the fuckery.
Right. I think you mentioned that job numbers look bad after recent revisions, and of course that resulted in, on Friday, Donald Trump firing the head of the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, a woman named Erica McFarty or something. President fired Dr. Erica McIntarfer.
Okay, McFarty was not correct, I guess. Yes.
I mean, McIntarfer is...
McFarty pants. What?
McIntarfer. Anyway, she was commissioner of the Bureau of Labor Statistics, confirmed on a bipartisan basis in 2024, and that just means that some Republicans voted for her.
I think she was wasn't it like 80 plus? I think it was like a pretty comfortable. It wasn't like one of these like
because it's a nonpartisan thing that she's up to, largely.
But it's not like like Lisa Murkowski and Collins were the only two that made it bipartisan. It was like one of those like whatever, we're cool. With
it. The Times write-up on this says, the president fired Dr. McIntarfer after the Bureau released monthly jobs data showing surprisingly weak hiring in July and large downward revisions to job growth in the previous 2 months. Economists widely interpreted the report as evidence that Mr. Trump's policies were beginning to take a toll on the economy, though the president insisted in a subsequent post that the country was, quote, doing great, end quote. Abe, is the country objectively doing great if we are firing the person who tells us how many jobs were gained in any given month? And also, perhaps more to the point, why do we try to track these numbers if they're so reliably so bad? And while I find Trump's very petulant and temper tantrum-ish firing of Mrs. Dr. McInfarter to be ridiculous, at the same time, like, I understand his upset because pretty reliably those numbers are incredibly unreliable.
Well,
right? Like
they're revised because they get revised. Is that why they're unreliable? Let's say like,
they're not just revised. Like, it's not like we're seeing a change from 84,000 to 80,000 jobs created, or 86,000 to 90,000 jobs created.
These are big shifts. Yeah,
many tens of thousands of jobs often are missed because it's a notoriously difficult thing to do, apparently, because they do it by polling. And of course, I think that it's worth pointing out that polling in the last decade or so has gotten significantly less reliable. I think is certainly the general consensus is that public polling is a difficult thing to do. We haven't figured out how to adapt to changing consumer habits in terms of just who picks up the fucking phone, and then also the great skepticism that a lot of people have when they pick up the phone and it says, "Hi, I am so-and-so from CBS YouGov." Right. It's like, oh, I don't like CBS YouGov because you're the media, and now I'm going to give you some bogus bullshit in response, or perhaps just hang up the phone. Anyway, general consensus, public polling is difficult, and more difficult than it's been in the past. Perhaps similar problems have extended to the way that they account for who's got jobs and who doesn't, because, of course, they ask the American people, but they also ask employers how the hiring is going. And apparently that's increasingly difficult over the course of the last decade or so, including some spectacular revisions that were done in the last couple of months. So, like, why do we bother? And also, you work for the IRS. Yeah. Why can't we just ask the IRS? Because, like, everybody has to pay payroll taxes, right? And I can't imagine that they're trying to account for, like, all of the under the table work that's being done in this country. Like, that's not what's being found by the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Just ask the IRS about the payroll tax situation or Social Security tax situation, and surely we'll get a better picture of things. It seems easy.
And who knows? Maybe they are getting some input. For the record, I have no knowledge about this. The Bureau of Labor Statistics is not housed under the IRS. I don't know anything about how they go about their numbers. I do wonder if timing is an issue because I think they release them the first Friday of the new month. So like when July ends, like if that Friday is like August 1st, they'll just release the July numbers on August 1st. So they're doing some sort of like forecasting just because, the month just ended and now you have to come up with some number. Yeah, I don't know, 80,000 people got new jobs. What do you want from me? And then like a month later or 2 months later, they're like, we have more concrete information. And by the way, we were off. It wasn't 70,000. It was like 20,000 or it was 100,000 or whatever it is. They make the revision when they have more concrete information. I wonder if there would be some benefit to delaying the report. So like when July ends, don't release it that first Friday of the new month. Release it 2 weeks into the new month or something to where you have a little bit more reliable data.
First Friday, give us the one from 5 weeks ago,
right?
Or what have you.
Yeah,
right? Like don't give us this past. And of course, I'm sure that the demand is heavy from like market makers and from like whoever else is looking at the macro economy in that way. But like if it's such an unreliable indicator as it seems to be, like what is the virtue here? And like obviously Trump wouldn't be complaining if it had gone from 50,000 jobs created in July to 150,000 jobs created in July.
Right.
In fact, I think we can kind of expect that moving forward.
Yeah, that it's going to be revised upwards, or they're not going to release it if the numbers are bad. One area where the number, because they're, this is one data point that the Fed uses to make determinations. So like had the May and June numbers, when they were released in, at the end of May, so like first week of June and then first week of July, if those numbers were as we know them now, if they're released more accurately, maybe the Fed in July would have decided to lower interest rates. Like, who knows? Because, the discourse now is like based on the revisions downward, there's this concern that the economy is stalling. And so even though inflation is still a bit hotter than they want, they may need to cut rates just to kind of stimulate the economy. But if they knew that the numbers were laggish for May, June, and July, and who knows what revision we'll get from July because it's at 70 some odd thousand, maybe we're already in the red, like we're job losses or like very negligible amount of job gains in July. The expectation is come September, at their next meeting, they're going to finally cut interest rates to kind of try to stimulate the economy because they're trying to avoid the stagflation situation where you have inflation and also a lagging jobs market, which is, we seem like to be further away from that soft landing that seemed to be all but guaranteed just like a year ago. I don't know what happened, but like maybe just the tariff confusion threw things off. But things were kind of trending in the right way, and now things are a little more in flux.
Yeah, I don't think it's the end of democracy. I don't think that Trump firing a non-partisan BLS employee or even the head of BLS ultimately matters very much. I think it's a very silly thing to do. I think that there are obvious institutional or systemic problems with trying to count how many jobs we added that are not going to be addressed better by the next person. I think it's like something to figure out probably, and this is no way to go about figuring it out. And of course, no one has less built-in good faith in terms of like what we can expect from the next person based on this, right? Like it's literally just a situation where Trump didn't like the numbers, and so he fired the person, and he's all but said that. And it was amusing to me to watch the Sunday news shows and have people what amounts to, and this is a very sort of facile analogy to make, but so much of our collective media energy is dedicated to like trying to get people to explain what the toddler is doing in the sandbox, right? Like it's we're all watching an idiot child playing with his toys and perhaps occasionally pulling his pants down and taking a dump in the sandbox and then using the bulldozer to cover the turds that he's just made in the sandbox, and then like talk about why and what the motivation was there and what it means for the rest of us who aren't inside the sandbox. And it's like, why? What is this fucking stupid thing that we're doing?
Right.
And I know that obviously Trump's actions have an impact on the nation, at large, and therefore it's not just a sandbox that he's playing in. But something about watching all of these. Is there like a couple of? I think Kevin Hassett went on Meet the Press to try to explain things, and he just goes round and round saying that he doesn't have confidence in the numbers, and he's allowed to do what he wants to do. But there's no actual justification for it, and ultimately, like I struggled to find, like, 'cause then Larry Summers comes on ABC and he's like, this is the stuff of banana republics. This is the stuff of dictatorships. And so, yeah, I agree with you. But also it's such a small stuff of a banana republic, is this a tipping point? I kind of doubt it. I don't think this ultimately matters. It just makes him look ever more petulant and childlike.
Right. So, by itself, it's not a tipping point, but it's part of a pattern of behavior, right? And so, like, we were watching, I think, one of the morning shows on Sunday while I was there, and I think the trades are, there are these people that seem to be otherwise, like, rational, normal people, like numbers guys or whatever, and they're asked, like, for the example that I think Margaret asked them was like, hey, all of these tariffs imposed on different countries, the argument is some sort of imbalance or unfairness in the trade. And Brazil, we have a surplus, and yet they're getting a 50% tariff, and it's specific to the prosecution of a Trump ally in the Bolsonaro guy, the poor man's Trump. And so, like, what is the logic there? And this person is saying, like, president's mad, he's going to do whatever he wants, whatever, like the toddler or whatever a normal person would say that's not, like, paid to represent Trump. Like, instead he's like, well, some presidents sanctions, and that's like a lot more strength than just a tariff, and so, like, the president can do it. And, like, it's just like there are these obvious, like, abuses of executive power. Like, you're imposing a tariff on a country for reasons other than trade. You're firing the Bureau of Labor Statistics not because of the lack of confidence in the way that they're formulating the numbers, but because the numbers that you're revising it to is lower. Like, like you said, if it was revised higher, thumbs up, maybe Employee of the Year or some sort of Rose Garden ceremony, right? Even though that doesn't mean that the numbers are more accurate if they're up, So it's like the only reason why these actions are taken is because whatever is happening is either reflects poorly on Trump or he just wants to assert that power. Like, this is, I have the power, I can do it, and I'm going to do it. It's kind of like, I think there was like a scene in Game of Thrones back in the day before it got shitty, where one of the Targaryens was, somebody was telling her about, like, what power actually means, and she's like, no, let me show you what power is. And she gets her hoodlums to, like,
It was Cersei.
Especially in a prominent family. Prominent families often forget a simple truth. I've found.
And which truth is that?
Knowledge is power.
Seize him. Cut his throat. Stop. Wait. I've changed my mind. Let him go. Step back 3 paces. Turn around. Close your eyes. Power is power.
Do see if you can take some time away from your coins and your whores to locate the Star Girl for me. I would very much appreciate it.
Yeah, Cersei, to do exactly what she wanted. And she's like, that's like power. Like, that's just, simply put, it's not like the machinery or whatever. Power is power. It's very obvious. And, like, Trump is basically doing something like that. I'm doing this, fuck you, what are you going to do about it? And here we are.
Yeah. And I'm sure it erodes public trust in the fucking Bureau of Labor Statistics.
Right.
But also, the public doesn't trust or not trust the jobs numbers. Like, it's just, like, I know it matters to the Fed. I know it matters to market makers and investors and that sort of thing. But, like, I don't think anybody actually gives a shit. I think that people are not going to have their minds changed or made up by, we added 250,000 jobs last month.
Yeah.
We're doing good. It's like, no, do you have a job? How
Yeah.
is it when you go to the grocery store?
Right.
Like, none of it fucking matters except that.
And also, eventually, the numbers will reflect reality, because, like, if the job numbers go the other way, you would then see the unemployment rate tick up, the participation rate ticking down. There'll be other indicators. So, like, this is just one data point. And so, like, you'll get a clearer picture if you look at multiple data points. And once we get into the red, it will become obvious. We're not there at this point. Hopefully, we don't get there. Things still seem to be pretty stable, so hopefully it stays that way. But, like, we'll know if things are going sideways. It won't be like some fudged numbers. The numbers will be what they are.
Yeah. All right, here's a clip of Donald Trump on a tarmac.
Actress Sydney Sweeney, it came out this weekend that she was a registered Republican. Any thoughts on that?
That who was?
Sydney Sweeney, she's like a very hot actress right now.
She's a registered Republican?
Yes.
Oh, now I love her ad. Is that right? Is Sydney Sweeney? You'd be surprised at how many people are Republicans. That's what I wouldn't have known, but I'm glad you told me that. If Sydney Sweeney is a registered Republican, I think her ad is fantastic. Okay, thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. President.
But you see, like, how obvious he makes the point, and people will try to make it into something else. Like, I am for the ad and her because she's for my side. Like, that's basically, it's a very, like, open and shut. He probably just assumed, she's like some Hollywood type. The show Euphoria, I think, like, Zendaya's character is dating some trans character. So, like, maybe he's thinking, well, she's probably, whatever. So, like, when he hears this, like, oh, boy, a blonde bombshell is into me. All right.
Right. No, the most purely transactional person on the planet, right? If she's a Republican and I'm a Republican, then I like her because she must like me. There's no indication that Sydney Sweeney has ever voted for Donald Trump or that she's necessarily ever voted at all. She is registered in Florida as a Republican. Perhaps that means that she has voted in that fashion in the past.
Maybe she's a big DeSantis fan. She likes the boots that he wears.
Yeah. Or she could be a single issue voter and, like, really wanted to pass. What was they tried to claw it back in Florida? Was it legal weed or something? Like, it doesn't matter.
Oh, wasn't it like restoring voting rights to
right? Maybe she's a big restore voting rights to felons advocate and voted for that, as did many other Republicans in Florida before the legislature decided to claw it back.
Right.
Nobody knows, and that is for the best, by the way, because it is. This is the United States of America, and we have the secret ballot, and not everything has to be all about who you voted for or didn't vote for. And kudos to Sydney Sweeney for keeping her mouth shut as this entire thing has been going on. She would be in no way helping herself by getting into the public eye more than she already is just through the ads. The ads perhaps are worth commenting on. It's simply a pun. It's Sydney Sweeney has great genes, and it says Jeans. She is in denim.
It's a pun on the word boobs.
In a provocative pose, and the implication here being that this is a beautiful human being with enormous tits who is genetically endowed in a favorable way relative to her fellow man. That's the joke, right?
She's of good stock, but some are taking it into like white jeans, like not like bosomy jeans. Like they're like the one problem that you said that it's good on her part to just kind of keep quiet. The bad part of that is that others will speak on her behalf and lay claim to her. And other people will then shun her because of the people that they don't like are laying claim to her.
She did also have, I don't know when it was, a couple years ago, some sort of like MAGA birthday party.
That's right, yeah. There was some sort of MAGA themed party that she was part of. Yeah, so she could very well be, like a Trumpian person that was keeping it quiet because she's in Hollywood. And now she's, coming out of the closet, so to speak. I don't know if it's good for her career to side one way or the other. I mean, like, you don't hear Tom Cruise making any sort of thing. And not that she's Tom Cruise, but like usually it's like you would just want until you become John Boyd to be apolitical during your peak years and just get the work done and move on. And then once you stop getting roles, you can be like on Fox News or MSNBC and go crazy.
Right. She also suffers from, I mean, to the extent that it's something to suffer from, the last couple of years of discourse around, like there were a couple of different media cycles where people were talking about how Sydney Sweeney's fame and popularity is a rejection of wokeness, right, because that's how dumb our cultural discourse is, that somehow that she's a hot, stacked blonde, it's a rejection of like that meme of the liberal chick crying right, and yelling, right, like that you know exactly what I'm talking about when I say that, no doubt. But like the fact that Sydney Sweeney is popular and that angry yelling chick,
America is back,
right, that therefore American horniness is back, and that we're celebrating beauty again and not the standards of the woke or what have you. And that was obviously a very dumb thing to concern oneself with. And also like one of those things that like where have you been? Like as though somehow we have failed to appreciate like outlier beauty in this media cycle of the last 10 years or whatever, that like since 2020 we stopped objectifying women. Like no, we kept doing it,
right?
And beautiful people overwhelmingly grace the covers of magazines and
it's just Instagram now,
and Instagram and what have you. And just go find the 10 most popular women on Instagram and tell me that they don't conform to your natural beauty standards here. And I suppose the pushback would be, yes, but they put a fat chick on the cover of a swimsuit.
That's literally what it is, right? Because it's not enough. You know, like you say, nothing really has changed as far as what the conventionally attractive person is. You know, Margot Robbie's been around throughout all this time. A lot of other actors and actresses have been around, making the rounds, and they're gaining fame because of their looks. But like, if you include like one person who's like above a particular size on a swimsuit cover, people just kind of lose their shit, because I guess it kind of gets played on a loop in the right of center like media ecosystem. Like, you know, like the Greg Gutfeld making jokes and other people saying like, look what has, you know, this is beautiful, blah blah blah, and then it becomes like this outsized thing. But like it's not a very common thing. It's almost like this stunt casting that these magazines do to kind of say like, look, you know, we're not like as shallow as you think we are, even though they are exactly as shallow as everybody thinks they are, because that's what sells. Right. And so like anytime that happens, it becomes this big thing, and they try to make it into this big thing for a while.
Two things that I will say about the Sydney Sweeney jeans controversy. One, I don't think Sydney Sweeney is terribly attractive.
That is a hot take.
That's not
right?
interesting.
I know, but that's like that's not.
It's
like,
a hot take.
Yeah, that's not what I'm hearing.
That's not
you're in the minority. There.
Of course, I'm in the minority, but also I think that people are blinded by two factors here. One, her blondness,
boobs.
And two, her tits. And like I get it. I am a man known to appreciate
boobs.
Yeah, as are all men. We're just men. That's what we do. It's fine. Big tits are fun. But in the face is mostly what I'm talking about here. I don't find Sydney Sweeney to be a particularly exceptional example of human or female beauty. Like it's just she doesn't do it for me. She has something of the dead eyes. There's a placid bovine quality to her presentation, which for me I prefer intelligent eyes, a sort of sneaky, beautiful intelligence, as might be found in any number of women who I will choose not to name at the moment.
We can agree though. Like, were she to walk by you at like an amusement park in Virginia,
Bob notices the boobs at amusement parks.
She would stand
Don't
out
worry.
in that crowd, right? I mean, she's attractive compared
sure.
to most people.
I think, and if we want to get to a broader critique here.
Broader. There's a pun.
Yep, there you go. That's a better pun than the jeans pun, and less provocative. To get to a broader critique, though, I think that her sort of what I would describe as is the combination of dead eyes and just that like I said, placid bovine facial expression, which to me reads as dumb, right? Like I'll just come out and say it. She looks like a dummy when she's just standing there. And like, that's not, if you want to say that's me being sexist, fine. I think she's got a dumb looking face. She has the sort of slack jaw and slack eyes of a dummy to me. And I think that is part of what has long been the appeal of that sort of presentation for a lot of shitty men, right? I think that a lot of shitty men like a dummy. Right? They like what it says about their relative intelligence. They think they can control it, and they think that's what's there's something about that is appealing to a certain set of men. And I think that maybe speaks to something interesting in a American patriarchy or anti female sort of way.
You're not saying that Sydney Sweeney is like deploying this as a tactic to garner more attention?
No, I think she's popular because she has that quality about her. She looks like a fucking dumb blonde, and like the dumb blonde is a absolute trope of American culture. I think that we get off on it, or the American culture gets off on it because of what I just said.
Are you comparing her to like a Jessica Simpson during the peak years, like when she was with that reality show? She didn't know what the she kind of played up her ditziness.
No, I don't think that she's doing it on purpose. I'm making a judgment about her fucking facial morphology and then applying it to the American character and the American appetite. I'm making an utterly unfalsifiable claim about the culture. I recognize that. You might even say I'm making a judgment here, and I would be comfortable with you saying that. But beyond that, beyond whether or not I find her personally aesthetically appealing, which I largely do not, although in certain small ways I do, I think that it is ridiculous to suggest that this advertisement was anything but a purposeful provocation, and that the pun that was being made there, the jeans for jeans pun, while I don't think a dog whistle to the Nazis or anything as insane as that, is nevertheless a provocation. And to insist that it's not a provocation is ridiculous. And I don't mean that it is necessarily a provocation for, say, the second and third quintile of the average American dummy who's walking around and it just sort of chuckles when they get the joke that, oh, they're talking about DNA and they're talking about genes. Ha ha, I get it, right? I'm talking about it's a provocation of the NPR class, right, and the ones who will write think pieces about it, right? The elite academic class. You cannot tell me that there were not half a dozen people in that room at American Eagle or whichever firm American Eagle employed to create this ad campaign, and that one or two of them didn't know that this would strike a chord in a time when questions about nature versus nurture and whether or not somebody's DNA or genetics is determinative of future outcomes has been something of a sore subject, especially among the left, for the last couple of generations, right? And when even when it comes to like questions about like race and IQ and that sort of thing, right? One's genes are incredibly determinative of one's potential, right? It's just an unpleasant and unfortunate fact of our existence, and that runs up against notions of both equality and equity that are important to the American character, perhaps from the other end. And to suggest that it's not a provocation, I think, is to purposefully bury one's head in the sand and pretend like, no, you're just being stupid. Right. Of course it's a provocation. But I'm not saying it's a bad thing necessarily to provoke that sort of a reaction. It's these are conversations that are perfectly fine for a culture to explore together.
I think like on the surface, it's kind of hard to imagine being behind this marketing campaign and not anticipating that this was a possible reaction to the ad, right? But also, I just don't understand why Sydney Sweeney's people, her PR team, her team, would want to wade into something like this. Why would you want to invite a controversy like this?
Because it's a storm in a teacup for a bunch of people that don't fucking matter.
No, but okay,
to her prospects
No.
in the culture, it doesn't fucking matter, and it in fact can only be good.
No.
Because she will have, at the end of this, she will have 10 million more Instagram followers than she had at the beginning of it, and no one is actually going to think that she's a secret Nazi or a white supremacist or even a useful idiot to actual Nazis or white supremacists, even if actual Nazis and white supremacists insist that she is an example of the master race at its finest.
Right.
Like it just won't fucking matter.
Here, counterpoint. It will matter in one respect. From her film choices. So she's, the first I've heard of her was through the HBO show Euphoria. She's been in some movies. I think there was this rom-com, Anyone But You, that did pretty well.
She was in White Lotus.
Yeah, she was. And she was great, I thought, in White Lotus. As
She was White Lotus, yeah.
Right?
So
she was an obnoxious character, but she was very, very good.
Right. So she's
deployed in that fashion.
So she's doing TV, she's doing movies. She did that reality winner, whatever, that was okay. But it appears that she's trying to go for the awards to kind of like bolster her career for whatever reason. There's a movie that's out this year about a 90s era female boxer called Chrissy. From what I heard before this jeans ad controversy, this was like they're trying to play it into the award season.
Oh yeah, it's got Oscar buzz.
It's got some Oscar buzz, and so the people who run the Oscars, the people that are at Sundance, at the Toronto Film Festival, at Cannes, those are the people who are not going to take kindly to associations to Nazism, right? So like if your whole career prospect is like, I'm doing the commercial successes, I'm going to get some, I'm not going to win probably, but I'm going to be nominated for some award, maybe like a SAG or whatever. So my name is like, oh, this is not only like, she's not just like, to counter Bob's thinking of like just a dumb blonde, like she's like a good actor. She got like a nomination for this role. She front-pated it up. She put some muscle, so she's not leaning into her good looks. Not exactly like Charlize Theron with The Monster, but like close. So it appears she's trying to go artistic, right? So that means that it's important to her, at least at this point in her career. Why would you want to invite this controversy that is at best a distraction? There's no like upside to it. At best, it's just a distraction. But at worst, it could sink any sort of like Oscar anything, because people, instead of like just judging the movie for what it is, if the movie's worth Oscar consideration, you should nominate it no matter what's going on outside. But that's not how humans work. Like they're going to take some, attacks on her because of this controversy. So to me, like it just doesn't make sense. Why would you want to do this deliberately? So I'm assuming it must have been inadvertent. Maybe they had the campaign and the actor or actress associated with the campaign separate. So like they already did the pitch and then just attached.
Yeah, but her people signed off on
right.
this.
That's what I'm saying.
There's a 0% chance that her people and she didn't sign off on it. She was not surprised.
Right. Well, in that case, then they fucked up. I mean, this is just a stupid decision for what she's trying to do. If she was just like, like, I don't know, like that Morgan guy, Wallen guy, like do whatever you want. It doesn't matter, right? Like, but if she's trying to be some sort of artistic person on top of her commercial success, and this is not going to help.
I think the art will speak for itself in that regard. Like I don't see this preventing her from getting an Oscar nomination. I don't. But at the same time, if what you're saying is true, then you're also reinforcing my point, which is that this is a recognizable provocation, and that this idea that somehow we're being ridiculous, or that the left is being ridiculous and even noticing it, strikes me as not operating in good faith. Right. Like very clearly, to make the joke about her genetics in this moment is going to provoke the reaction that we've seen. And yeah, I agree, it gets taken too far. And it will be taken even further by elements on the right who are much more unpleasant.
Right.
Yeah. Anything else to say about Sydney Sweeney?
No. It'll be interesting to see how she proceeds, because I think the keeping mum strategy may not work for long. She may need to do like a sit down with Anderson Cooper on 60 Minutes or something.
But what would she say? What would she say to justify it beyond it was an ad for jeans?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
That's
like it was.
Yeah. That.
I mean, and what's dumb is like it's hardly the first time that an ad that features a hot chick generates controversy.
I feel
right?
like they've
it's
done this before.
Well, there was
It's
that.
the existence. It's the existence of hot chicks that generates controversy,
Right.
One way or another. So
There was that one of the Kardashian clan members who had like a Pepsi will solve, protests or whatever. I think like just drink this Pepsi.
After was it Chloe or
one of them? I forget.
But one of the Kardashians
was
was offering a Pepsi to the cops and to the protesters in the wake of the George Floyd summer.
that did not go over well. So like every now and again, ads will not strike the right chord. It would have been something if this was a Super Bowl ad. Like everybody, I mean, it's garnered enough attention now to where it's on par with like something you see at the Super Bowl, because everybody's kind of talking about it.
What's funny is that I think if it was a Super Bowl ad, nobody the upset would not be nearly as much.
Really, you think so? Because what?
I think because this is on its own. Like I don't know.
Yeah,
I could be wrong about that, but all right. Headline: CBS News: Denmark Zoo asks public to donate unwanted small pets or horses to feed captive predators.
Nice. I like this.
For all we hear about how great it is in Scandinavia. A zoo in Denmark is asking the public for donations of unwanted small pets or horses to feed its predators.
I mean, any takers so far?
I don't know. Zoo in northern Denmark said that chickens, rabbits, and guinea pigs were an important part of the diet of its predators, which need whole prey, reminiscent of what they would hunt in the wild. If you have a healthy animal that has to leave here for various reasons, feel free to donate it to us. The animals are gently euthanized by trained staff and are afterwards used as fodder. That way, nothing goes to waste, and we ensure natural behavior, nutrition, and well-being for our predators, Aalborg Zoo said. There's nothing natural about feeding a dead chicken to the animal in the zoo.
Why not just go to the store and get you some chicken,
I mean, because that's been processed in some minimal sort of
so it has
way.
to be like a
I'm surprised that they don't have a relationship with some fucking local farmers or what have you. But
what if the animals
farmers?
What if the animals don't eat the euthanized animals? So like, I guess it won't be so gentle after all. Here you go. Just throw the live animal at the predator.
Yeah.
That is a wild request to make.
Yeah.
Maybe it's maybe the relationship with animals isn't as strong as it is apparently here in America.
You have to ask.
When my brother Jesse demands his cats back, he's going to take them to the Netherlands there. I'm going to send him this article with just a big no on it.
Would you also trust the shipment of the cats over? It may be intercepted somewhere.
That's right.
And sent out.
Lori, did you want to talk about bread at Panera Bread?
No, I wanted you to.
Are you worried that we might fight?
No, it's just the thing's called Panera Bread, and they're like, yeah, we're not making our own bread anymore, and a bunch of people are going to lose their jobs.
This is like a yet another example of just kind of things getting shittier just so the profit margins are such. It's just such an obnoxious kind of like trend.
Especially because Panera Bread was like the first of these like quick service places, right?
Yeah. I want to express my ignorance here, perhaps. But I thought like 20 years ago when Lori and I were going to Panera Bread and getting into fights,
over
which
what?
is what we would. It's what would happen.
We can't go in there.
We would go to a Panera Bread and we would have a fight. I mean,
not bad.
I'm not talking about a lower second and third quintile economic spectrum fight where we're like fucking pulling on each other's shirts
It
and
would
like
just
they're
not be fun.
scratching and stuff.
We would not have a nice time.
We would just not have a fun time. And we get into some silly argument about nothing. And it was very consistent.
It was weird.
Maybe the Panera Bread in Athens is like built over a hellmouth or something. Like it's
yeah, maybe it's that Panera Bread.
There's bad juju.
No. Did we get to a fight at a different one? I don't know. We don't go there.
Yeah, but together we stopped going there, and then after like 2009 or 2010, when they had a particularly offensive Pandora commercial that was personally super obnoxious to me, perhaps in part because it was an older couple having a great time at Panera Bread, as I recall, and I was extra sore about the fact that me and my old lady could never have a great time at Panera Bread, so I swore off Panera Bread entirely. And they have since. Are they even still Panera Bread? Are they just Panera now? I don't know.
They're just that's the thing. They shouldn't be called Panera Bread because they're not making their bread.
The point here is that like 20-odd years ago, I thought that they were baking them in-house. Like that was my impression that the baking of the bread happened on site. Like because I remember the Panera that we used to go to in Athens.
You could just buy bread.
Whole side of it was like a bread bakery, and they would have people over there and like with the big fucking fuck off bread ovens.
That's what made it good,
right?
And all of that. We're talking about now is they're not talking about they're ceasing the production of dough.
They're outsourcing it to a third party to make like the bread, and it'll be like halfway done, and they'll ship it, and then
right,
like
but they were
Domino's.
I think they already had a commissary that was operated by Panera that would then ship product out to their various franchises. At least that's my understanding.
I mean, were they making the material and then like? Are you saying that they were already doing this before?
I think they had already done something like this in the intervening years. I think that there was an interim step here where they had a commissary that was doing most of their work and then shipping stuff out to the franchisees. And then now what they're saying is we're not even going to be the owners of the bread making commissary, and instead we're going to outsource that to a third party bakery, and then they'll use our recipe and our ingredients or what have you. But we're not going to be doing that anymore.
Right, but
then instead we're going to get like par-baked bread like you get at a Subway or whatever. And then they put it in those warming racks that are they're not exactly – I mean, I guess it's a baking process.
Yeah, but it's like Subway is exactly – because that is baked. You can smell when you walk into a Subway. Like they've been making bread, but they get it frozen.
But it's more like it's being like rehydrated or something.
Yeah,
and you look at those stupid frozen breadsticks that they stick on the tray and then they slide it into the warming oven. It's like it is like they stick a hose in it and it springs up or something.
Right. I do wonder if like maybe they're like whatever quality is gained by doing it all in house was not generating any additional revenue. So they're like. It seemed like the people that are eating, our current customers don't seem to give a shit. So let's cut this corner.
Well, that's the thing. It turned into fast food. It started out as like a nice step up from fast food.
Right, which made it acceptable to go there and spend $10 on your meal instead of $4 or $5 on your meal, right? Like it was, you thought, I'm getting a better product here, a fresher, something that more resembles real food than if we go to McDonald's. And so it's worth it to spend twice as much.
And it was kind of the first one to do that.
Certainly, like among... Like, because it
was like Chipotle and Panera, and that was it. And now kind of everywhere is that. And then everything got expensive. And now it's like, why would I go to Panera? Why would I go to Panera when I can go to like a regular place down the street where it is real food, spend the same amount of money, not get in a fight?
The You Pick 2 at Panera 20 years ago, where you could go in there for like $5.99, I think, or $6.99, and you got half of a bacon. I mean, I got anyway. Always get the bacon turkey Bravo. Like the Caesar salad, and
here's more bread.
With that, you got a chunk of fucking baguette or an apple and maybe some chips. Yeah, something like that. That was fucking spectacular. And the sandwiches were big and they were delicious. The bread was amazing. That what was the bread that they served the bacon turkey Bravo
tomato
on?
basil
bread. Like a tomato basil bread was just fucking spectacular.
I'll make some for you.
And these days, we had Panera we were at a Panera like 2 years ago, maybe.
Me and you?
I think so. Maybe it was just me with the kids.
I don't think we've been in one together. I've been in one without you. I met Andrew and Dre at one. I've been in them with other people, but
Anyway,
not you.
Food's just not quite as good as you remember it being from way back in the day.
Anyway, things are shitty. We could probably be done now, though.
Yeah, we should do a quick Strassmann here.
All right.
It's now time for America's favorite game show. Did Mark Strassmann, CBS News' senior national correspondent, get off a good one?
Or we can have a biomedical security state. And I can tell you, Florida, we're a free state.
Free state. Costly approach.
Strassmann gets off a good one.
Another negative, surging positivity rates.
Ooh, sorry, Mark. Try again next time. I've got two queued up. I'm afraid that one of them is going to require the older one from a few weeks ago will probably spur a longer conversation.
Okay, so don't do that one.
Let's not do that one tonight. So instead, we'll just do the one that likely won't spur too much additional conversation.
Okay,
besides
it's
perhaps
getting
some
late.
more derisive hatred for my fellow American from me. But this is a headline, Inside the World of Astrology, from CBS News.
Hold. We are standing down for a violation of weather rules.
Clouds moved in at the Kennedy Space Center, and the launch of the SpaceX Crew 11 to the International Space Station was put off until tomorrow. The crew, 2 Americans, a Japanese and a Russian, 1 Scorpio, 1 Pisces, an Aquarius, and a Cancer. Their signs have nothing to do with the mission, but the growing popularity of astrology is the subject of tonight's Eye on America, reported by Mark Strassmann.
So you were born with Sagittarius rising.
Something in the stars, some divine imperative led us to Danielle Polgar.
You have your moon in Aquarius's opposite sign.
This astrological counselor in Santa Fe gave me my first natal reading, a cosmic clocking of my life's patterns and cycles.
There's a collective curiosity about astrology. And I think what it can really facilitate is helping people feel like they're part of something bigger than themselves.
In our stressful world, astrology feels bigger than ever. In the U.S., it's an online industry worth an estimated $3 billion. CoStar, one of the most popular astrology apps, reports 30 million registered users.
What do you say to people watching who will say, come on, this is 2025. How do you still believe in this stuff?
It's our first tool to understand our relationship with whatever this place is, right? You're still an Aquarius, even if you're like, I don't buy into that.
But for some people, the imponderable mystery in the stars is astrology itself.
You look at the same sky as astrologers, but you see something very different.
Yes, in multiple ways.
Astrophysicist Montana Williams stargazes from the National Radio Astronomy Observatory in New Mexico.
So radio antennas like this can receive radio waves from the edge of the universe.
Basically, yes.
Williams tracks the origins of the universe, but all she knows about astrology is that she was born a Leo.
Is astrology to you a pseudoscience, a poetic science?
I don't know what astrology is, to be honest. I will say that I am a bit biased that I don't entirely believe in it.
Astrology is not science like this, not even close. But there's quite a market for mystical services. Roughly 30% of Americans say at least once a year they consult horoscopes, tarot cards, or fortune tellers.
Especially with Jupiter going through your 9th house.
And we met one of them, Erica McAuliffe.
Right.
Polgar's chart readings gave her life insight that feels heaven-sent.
And what do you use astrology for?
I use it as a tool for self-discovery. I think it shows a part of yourself that maybe you're not necessarily thinking about.
It's cosmic guidance for everyday anxiety, like a map or sheet music.
Clarity, confidence, courage. I think those are the 3 things that people are seeking. You have your moon in Aquarius's opposite sign.
Fair enough. Life's complicated, and this Aquarius has a date with a Jupiter return to think about. For Eye on America, I'm Mark Strassmann in Santa Fe.
All right, Abe, did Mark Strassmann, CBS News' senior national news correspondent. Get off a good one.
I would say no.
Ooh, sorry, Mark. Try again next time.
I was more fascinated by the story itself than any sort of good ones. Like, what? 30%? 30 million users on some app? Is that right?
Apparently so.
Although I can't imagine it's growing more popular. Hasn't this astrology scheme been around for some time?
I think it comes and goes in terms of its
It comes and goes.
cultural relevance, with the tides, you might even say. Check out the eyes on this lady.
Does she look stupid?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, she does. She's got what I refer to as crazy eyes. It's not that she looks stupid. She looks almost hyper-intelligent to the point of being crazy. Now, I know this might sound like, well, on the one hand, I'm being critical of women when they look stupid. And on the other hand, I'm being critical of women when they look smart. But there is this thing that goes on. I want to make sure there's a link to this story in the show note. I dare you to watch this story and look at this woman and tell me that she doesn't have fucking crazy eyes.
What? Okay.
I don't think she has crazy eyes. It's her words that are a little crazy.
I know of these different signs, Leo, Cancer, whatever. This rising, this retrograde, like, is this like new wrinkle to the old system? Or has that been around?
Not new, very old.
It's just a very. That's how you get. It's a more detailed version of things. It's not enough to just be able to flip to your page in the newspaper that's got your horoscope in it. If you're an Aquarius, you've got to know also because you've got your moon sign and your whether it's rising or falling, and it's not just the sun.
Yeah, it's where everything is when you're born.
Okay.
Not just because your sun sign is what.
If you want to go get a full reading, like they'll tell you like where the fuck Jupiter was when you were born and how that impacts your personality and all of the decisions.
Well, and
that you
how
make.
it can affect your life because I could be an Aries and someone else is an Aries, but I'm having a harder time than they are right now. It's because when I was born, Saturn was over in the 10th house. So now what Saturn is doing is working for me, but somebody else, something else.
I see.
Yeah.
If Lori suddenly came out as a serious devotee of astrology and like started to pattern her thinking about me and our children and the people in our lives and herself around astrology readings, she could have a torrid love affair with someone, and that would be a more survivable event for our marriage.
What if I kept it quiet?
Than Lori becoming absolutely convinced
what
that
if
everything
I have been this whole time
was predetermined and destined by.
It's just you knowing about it. You said if I
stars.
came out as.
Yeah. This is why I'm telling you right now.
Keep it to myself.
I better not ever catch wind of it, because it will do us no favors as a couple if I were to find that out.
So I can go have an affair then?
I think don't do that either. I think there's an astrology book somewhere upstairs in our house.
It's above my bed. I read it every morning and every night.
It only infuriates me to
I
find
don't even
out
know where it came from.
that
but
people take this shit seriously.
But is it any
falling
different
apart.
than people that are into religions? It's the same kind of
Nope.
scheme. Also, I just Googled.
Abe, have we ever talked before? Am I one to just let people's stupid religious ideas wash off my back like water off a duck or what have you?
Good point. I just Googled, just to test the veracity of this scam, this astrology. I was like, are astrology signs associated with numbers? Because I'm wondering, if my sign, Sagittarius, is associated with the number 11, then it would lend credence to this whole thing. I would believe it. And then I looked.
That'd be it?
And Sagittarius, there are two numbers associated with it, 3 and 9. Scorpio is the one that's 11. So this thing is obviously a scam.
Obviously.
Unless I change my personality to 3 and 9, maybe things will just positively happen going forward. I should assume that this is true and be into the number 9.
I'm excited to find out that Mark Strassmann and I are both Aquariuses.
Oh.
Why?
I don't care. It's just worth noting.
Maybe you're drawn to him because
that he
of
was
that.
an Aquarius. I too am an Aquarius. And you know what that means? Absolutely nothing. The lady that they interview here, who's an astrology enthusiast and gets a reading, she's got one of those like turquoise stone necklaces on and looks like a crazy person. I'm not in the dating pool, obviously, but one of the things that would be an automatic swipe the wrong way for me, I don't know, I don't even know which way you swipe, but whichever.
Oh, Bob has no idea which way to swipe. So faithful.
Whichever the dismissive swipe is, any mention of your sign or what you're looking for in terms of an astrological match would be, and that's probably foolish because I imagine that these are highly manipulatable people. If what you're after is just to treat them poorly,
And that's what you're looking for when you're on the apps.
well, I mean, based on my reading of
You're doing
Substack,
great.
based on what I'm reading in Substack lately, yes, most men apparently are out there just trying to wham bam, thank you, ma'am, and on to the next one type situation.
As they generally do. Is there a gender component to this? Is this like more
It's mostly
a woman?
women.
It's got to be like 90%.
Okay, because I wonder if like the producers behind this segment were like, can we get like some schlubby dude to like come on and also say that they're into it? Because like all the people that they're interviewing are women, and it may give the impression that this is a woman thing.
Gay men,
Gay men are into the astrology.
yes.
I think we should ask the robot this and see if we can get an offensive answer.
Gay men love it. It's a category, you know. You are this and you are this and this is this and this is this. It's the little put everything into its little box.
Like the personality
Keep it
ones, you're
organized.
like a this or a that, you know.
Yeah.
Those fucking personality tests, same fucking thing.
Micromanage. Gay is the way it was described to me once.
But you know, like guys have what is the new thing? The stupid, goofy animal thing, like alpha, beta. Like I'm like this and that. I guess it's not.
not new.
It's not as as nuanced as the other ones. But like people seem to kind of like categorize themselves.
Alpha or
Yeah.
beta.
Are men or women more likely to be into astrology?
According to multiple studies and surveys, women are more likely than men to believe in and be interested in astrology. This trend is especially pronounced among younger women. Several factors have been suggested to explain this gender difference, include...
Good enough for me.
Oh, you don't want to know what the factor is?
I mean, there's no accounting for young women. Are you serious? Why would we bother?
Also,
no further explanation necessary.
Also, I don't believe that this means that someone is hard as it may be to buy this, but to stay with me. I don't think people are necessarily more susceptible. People are just more like open to this way of thinking. Like, and so like they're more, it's not like they're being
It's a
manipulated.
hobby.
It's just like for whatever reason, the way that they look at the world kind of
Perhaps
lines up with this.
let's go weirdo feminist theory here. Perhaps it's a reflection of the fact that women are less likely, especially young women, are less likely to feel like they have agency in our modern patriarchal society, and that their belief in mystical bullshit like crystals and astrology and whatever the fuck else is a result of their desperate attempt to feel like they have an explanation for the world around them because they have consistently been told by society that they are victims of circumstance.
Perhaps.
I'm fine with that explanation. Yeah? All right. You've been listening to Cast Iron Brains, a podcast with Bob and Abe. Find the show on Substack, brainiron.substack.com for more from us. I'm seeing a video here on the side of my screen. It says, John Baptiste hears Beastie Boys for the first time, to which I say, bullshit.
Oh, yeah. I second the bullshit.
There's a 0% chance that John Baptiste had never heard the Beastie Boys.
I wonder if this is
before.
just, like whenever a trend online takes hold, people will kind of take that on, like, and to this for the first time scheme that John Baptiste is trying to get into. There have been some clips of British boys try just indulgent American food for the first time, and they're like,
I get a lot of British people reacting to college football traditions.
Right. And so I thought that those were legitimate because they're probably not familiar with college football, so this is their first reaction to, or they've never had a brisket, and so this is their first reaction to. But now this total bullshit of I'm listening to this music for the first time. And it's not some random music from some random place. This is a well-known act, and a person who's well versed in music. He does music, he plays it. Right. He grew up in it. It's inconceivable that he's not familiar with it. But maybe just for the sake of the trend, it's presented in that way because it's a well-worn trend, and so people are more likely to click on and engage with this content if you pretend like you've never done it.
There are an infinite number of YouTube channels that are people claiming to react to things for the first time.
Yeah.
It's very silly.
Anyway, you were saying goodbye.
The opening and closing themes of the show are composed by Mark Gillig, tetramermusic.com, Tetramer music.com. For more from Mark. Abe, it's been 2 weeks since we spaketh last. Surely you've made it to the movies in the intervening time.
Yes, I went to go see 2 movies, The Fantastic Four First Steps a week ago, and actually today. Usually when I do a take a break from work, I was added an additional day. So Monday, today when we're recording, I was off. So today I went to also go see The Naked Gun, the one with Liam Neeson and Pamela Anderson. So Fantastic Four. This is just a continuation of my dim view of these cartoon movies, not cartoon, but comic book movies. Even though Superman was well regarded, I think you guys kind of enjoyed it. Just the template is just very worn out to me. Just somebody wearing spandex running around doing stuff. It's just I don't know. I have a bias against it now, and I felt it watching the Fantastic Four. I've seen the one with Jessica Alba 20 years ago, and I think they did another one 10 years ago, and now they're doing another one now. It's whatever. I'm just done with these movies. And at the end of this one, there's a big bad they go up against, and they defeat the big bad, and then they try to tie it into some doomsday character that Robert Downey Jr. is going to play. And I'm just I just don't care. Just whatever. It's fine. It's just a lot of action. Actually, there wasn't a lot of action in this particular movie. It's just fine. It's just a very forgettable movie, at least to me. I forget what the critical reception was for The Fantastic Four because it was a week ago, and I forget things fast. More recently, today, just a few hours ago, I went to go see The Naked Gun. This movie had one of the worst trailers that I've seen.
Yeah, I saw a couple commercials, and it looked real bad. And then I saw that people seemed to like it, so I was
Do you have
surprised.
A relationship with the first 1 through
yes.
3?
Yes.
Okay.
I did see the original with Leslie. So Leslie Nielsen, and now it's Liam.
Yes.
So this one. So I think compared to the awful trailer, the movie's an improvement on it. But it's still not a great movie. There are a few funny parts, there are a few clever points. Liam Neeson is playing the son of Leslie, even though the age doesn't work because it's
Leslie
in the 70s.
Nielsen.
Yeah, Leslie Nielsen. And so they do this thing where he's kind of saying some positive words to a picture of his dead dad, and they kind of go down the line, and they end up with a black officer trying to do the same with OJ, and they're like, "Oh no, I'm not going to do that." It was kind of amusing. There are a few other such moments where it's just okay, that's pretty clever, or pretty funny, or just amusing. But just on the whole, it's just it's fine. I think the trailer looks so bad that when you see it, you're pleasantly surprised. And I don't know if that's what's factoring into the very positive reviews that it's getting. But it's an enjoyable movie if you like the originals. This is in keeping with the spirit of that.
I definitely saw all 3 of the originals on VHS rental from the video store or what have you.
It was on HBO a bunch.
And they were on a bunch, but it wasn't part of my I'm going to watch this a dozen times and learn all of the jokes until I'm Airplane, which was by the same people who made the Naked Gun series. is a movie that I watched 100 times, right? And I could recite endless dialogue from Airplane at this point. But the Naked Gun movies were not nearly as precious to me as other films were. But they were funny movies. They were fine, right?
Yeah, and basically this is that. Again, I don't know how many times I'm gonna rewatch it. Maybe once more when it comes out on whatever service it comes out on in like 90 days. But it's fine. It's a decent. It's better than the Fantastic Whatevers. But it's fine.
In the first one, when O.J. Simpson gets like stabbed and shot and beaten up, and then bumps into the door frame, it's. Like, how much of my personality is shaped by that moment? Because it's a lot.
Oh, yeah?
Like, that was everything to me. And it still is. Like,
that was great.
I would only watch the movie. I would watch that first scene and then stop. Because it's just so well done.
Yeah, no.
No.
Yeah. Also, I don't know. Maybe, like Liam Neeson is at some points it seemed like he was kind of leaning into the role. Like there's the need for you to kind of be like the deadpan person, and sometimes
right, which was like Leslie Nielsen is as good at that as anyone in film history in terms of never giving the game away.
Right. This one is like more winky, kind of like I don't know if it would have been a better movie if he did it exactly like that. Or he needed to do something slightly different to kind of separate himself.
In the way that everything is fucking meta now, though, like, is it possible to have a fully committed deadpan
That's
character?
true, yeah. I wonder if they tried that and like, this doesn't play well, just do it the other way.
Yeah.
On the...
like you end up seeming like Paul Blart Mall Cop or something. Like there's...
Right.
It's
That's true.
I don't know.
On the TV side, I watched the second... Happy Gilmore, the golf one. With
Happy
Adam
Gilmore
Sandler.
is the name of the movie, yeah.
And so that one was also like, just like a retread, like, hey, you remember the original? Like, it was kind of like that. Like, but what's odd is anytime there's like a story kind of ends in a positive note, like he gets the girl, things go well. This movie starts where he is still with that girl, they have kids, everything looks great, he's still playing golf, and it's successful, but then there's no movie if everybody's happy. And
right,
so
it's all got to go to shit. Yeah.
Like immediately they kill off the wife, and so now and then now he's just booze hound, just like depressed, and he starts sucking at golf, and he has to kind of work his way back to the top, like instead of being a has-been, he kind of works his way. He finds his swing, and the rest is pretty predictable. It's very it's like after you see the first 10 minutes of like, oh, how are they gonna make this into a thing? And when they kill off the wife, it's like, oh, they're just gonna redo the whole thing. It's kind of like a new take on like the same amusement park ride, where it's like you kind of know which direction it's going.
Right, and the first one was very silly, but had plenty of. Like I still remember it fondly.
Or were you just 12?
Yeah, I think in part I was just 12, but also like when Adam Sandler hits the shit out of that golf ball and it goes 400 yards and it hits that guy in the head standing on his balcony and knocks him over. That's fucking funny. And then they run it back again right away. And he's like, do it again. And so he launches another one and it hits him right in the fucking head. That's pretty funny.
Can't go wrong.
There's nothing wrong with a little stupid physical humor. And the Bob Barker fist fight, of course, lives in cinema history.
That's
as
right.
an all-time great.
Yeah. The last thing I watched also on television, the season premiere.
The caddy gives him a read, but the read is wrong because he's only wearing one shoe because he's a homeless dude who he got to be his caddy. That's a pretty funny joke.
You're remembering a lot from this movie. The last thing I watched was I think they're up to season 27, the season premiere of South Park, and very enjoyable watch. This was dominated by Donald Trump. I mean, it was a very brutal takedown of Trump. Are they still?
Is it still just Garrison?
So,
or is it...
so they basically broke that away. So like they played it up to where like the locals are like, I voted for him. Like they're kind of alluding to Garrison, like who's like the stand-in for Trump, and they all get to his house, to Garrison's house, but he's just like living in normal life now. He's back to his old self. He's like, "What? I'm not at the White House." He's like, "Then who the fuck is at the White House?" And they cut to a Saddam Hussein Donald Trump. Like, in the past they've done Donald Trump, but they do it like within the universe of the show. But with Saddam Hussein, they actually put in like the actual face,
the cutout of his head.
Yeah, and so they did that with Trump, and the whole episode is just one slight after the other. It ends with this PSA, very graphic PSA they do of Trump. It's worth watching. I mean, it's disturbing because he's naked, or the stand-in for Trump is naked. But it was a very a brutal attack on him. And South Park, they're on Comedy Central or Paramount or whatever. They're part of that big company, and they were in the process of signing some deal, billions, like $1.5 billion worth of a deal. And
they themselves, Trey and Matt in particular, and South Park signed a $1.5 billion deal for, I think, 5 more seasons or roughly 50 episodes of South Park for the next 5 years.
Right. Which to me
it
seems like...
Does it not kind of put a lie to this idea that Stephen Colbert got the boot because of his politics?
So that's what's interesting. So the timing, the sequence of events was the deal is done, and then a week later... the episode airs. They delayed the second episode because I guess they're going to continue shitting on Trump. I don't know why it was delayed. They're going to show it this week. It was supposed to be last week. But the deal was done, and then the show aired, and it was as critical, if not, I mean, it's definitely more critical than anything Colbert does. It was a very just attack the whole time.
Also, almost certainly funnier than just about anything. Right, and it's funny.
Yeah, so basically, so it's like on one hand, it's like, oh, Stephen Colbert got silenced, but this other product is not silenced. So, like, maybe that...
something seen by more than 1.4 million people, too, no doubt.
Yeah. So, like, it was entertaining. I very much enjoy South Park. I've kept.
It's been a couple of years since we've seen.
We haven't seen it in a long
season
time.
of South Park. It's a shame because we are super fans.
Yeah, this one is pretty good. I haven't seen the reboot of King of the Hill, but apparently they jumped in the year to like more of the present. Some of the characters are now older. Bobby Hill is now like an adult. I'll be interested to see how that plays out. I haven't seen King of the Hill in a while, but don't mind the animated shows.
Let's see, what did we watch, Lori?
Just Rudy.
We watched Rudy with the children last night.
What did the kids think? Is this their first go?
Yeah, they've never seen it before, and it's on Netflix right now. And obviously, Rudy is an all-time classic and one of my favorite movies from my own childhood. It's speaking of knowing where this is going from moment one to moment the last. It's a pretty predictable sports triumph movie, right? Little guy up against it, figures it out, and has his one moment in the sun. And of course, you go and you look at Google up the differences between fact and myth here to find out how you were lied to.
Yeah, they had to dress it up a little bit, which seems to be like a recurrent thing. Cause didn't they the Blind Side with that lineman was also kind of fudged
that
up.
was not just dressed up a little bit.
Yeah, but it seems like you have a story that can we make it better by just making certain things up? Like with Rudy, and I think this was Vince Vaughn, a young Vince Vaughn is in this. Like he's a quarterback.
He is
very cute.
Calm down, Lori. Jesus
He
Christ.
is. I'm surprised. Usually, men look better when they get older. He didn't.
Yeah, he looked much better when he was younger.
He looked way better younger. Makes me feel good.
It's a bit waifish. He's a bit Timmy Chalamet the God.
Speaking of which, all this made me want is a Stetson Bennett movie.
Yes.
I just want one so bad.
Yeah.
I mean,
Rudy's great though, and I know Joe Montana has gone on podcasts and said because Joe Montana was actually on the Notre Dame team that Rudy Rudiger was. And he said, he was carried off the field, but it was done by the 3 most sarcastic, prankish dudes on the team. It was sort of a joke that we carried him off the field. And
okay.
And also the other main objection that is made to the based on a true story stuff is that the coach Dan Devine, who was there for his senior year, formerly of the Green Bay Packers, was one of Rudy's cheerleaders. Like, he was a great supporter of Rudy, and in fact, rather than standing in the way of Rudy potentially playing in a game or dressing in a game, was instrumental in making sure that Rudy got in the game.
Okay. This wasn't a documentary. It was a fiction movie.
Right.
Yeah,
with
sure.
actors.
I get it. I'm fine with them embellishing and changing things around to make it more dramatic.
I mean,
and
wait till
exciting.
they see the Stetson Bennett movie. It's going to be way better than real life.
I think that, I get why Dan Devine would be upset about his portrayal in the movie, though. I wasn't
Which coach was he? The first coach or the second coach?
the second coach, his senior year coach.
The guy that
who's-
it took the entire leadership of the team to say this one's for. They all gave up their jerseys to force the action.
But how can you have that scene, which is the best scene?
Yeah, it's a great scene, and it speaks to this idea that he earned the respect of his teammates and all of that. But you could have written that. You could have written it in some other way that allowed that there could have been some other central conflict.
I didn't feel like there was a villain in that movie. It was just a nice movie.
Yeah. And to be fair, Devine it's more like if there's a villain, it's, these NCAA rules really hamstring us by how many kids we're allowed to dress or whatever.
Trying to win. Although the stupid thing, surely Notre Dame, of all football programs, had some cupcake games.
Yeah.
Have him dress for one of those.
That's right.
Notre Dame.
Yeah, good movie, and it's from the people who brought you Hoosiers, which is another great heartland of America and sports tale.
Just a white people sports movie.
A lot of sports movie back in the day. The Mighty Ducks.
Yeah. But I make no complaints about Rudy, and nobody else should either. Great movie. Is that all we watched?
Yes.
All right. Well, I finished reading the Stephen King book. Stephen King and Peter Straub book, The Talisman. It was fine. It's good. It's a perfectly enjoyable sort of ride. Not one of King's best, and the parts of it that are Straub are a bit sort of not exactly my thing. And I think I can, having read Stephen King my whole life at this point, I can pick out what was him and what was not. The basic shape of it is, it rehashes a lot of Stephen King things and themes that we've seen many times before. But yeah, it's fine. It's a fine book. And then I'm reading now a book by, what's his fucking name? Neil Stephenson. It's called Fall, or Dodge in Hell is the full name of the book. And it's a guy who wrote famous books, including Cryptonomicon and Snow Crash. I think Snow Crash is probably his biggest hit. I read Snow Crash a few years ago and enjoyed it. Fall, or Dodge in Hell, is similarly enjoyable so far. I'm about halfway through it, and the only complaint that I'll make about that is that I don't like the way that Neil Stephenson writes dialogue in this book. There's this sort of performative, collaborative thing that he does that drives me crazy. Whatever, it doesn't matter too much. What is interesting is that he is very good at imagining a near future based on our current technological abilities, right? Snow Crash predicted, just based on the nascent internet at the time, predicted a future world that was much more heavily connected than the average asshole could have imagined in 1992. This one, which came out in 2019, imagines that we are on the verge of being able to do full body scans that will allow us to recreate consciousness in a digital way, right? Rather, because of course, people stories that you hear about Walt Disney wants to be cryogenically frozen so that someday he can be reanimated, and once we've figured out aging, we'll bring back all of these frozen people, and they'll be able to live complete and long lives in the future. Stevenson imagines that the more likely scenario is that rather than freezing the body, we instead map the entire consciousness and are able to store it digitally, and then have those consciousnesses live on distributed networks, and sort of have these afterlives that are sort of something approaching human, if in fact they are able to continue to learn and grow in the afterlife. Then what about that consciousness is not human in the way that we would understand it? And he presents it as an interesting problem. And
did he take a position on
whether or not it's possible? I mean, the whole book is based on the idea that it is in fact possible. So I guess to that extent, he believes that it is possible. And certainly there are plenty of people who believe that that is our sort of inevitable future, that we will be able to recreate human consciousness digitally and perhaps upload ourselves in that fashion, and that will be the path to immortality. I think the subtitle of the book being called Dodge, Dodge being the main character here, in hell, suggests that he is perhaps skeptical of how good a time it will be once you are uploaded into your immortal afterlife. But yeah, I still have half the book to go, so I won't render judgments here. Just say that it is worth checking out if any of the things that I've said so far are of interest to you.
There was a sloppy Johnny Depp movie from some time ago called Transcendence, and it was basically that. Like he gets uploaded into some robot, and he's like, "Oh, look at me, I'm still here." You know, like it was done. I just remember like, "Oh, this is very sloppy," but like it was in that same kind of direction. Like,
yeah, I think that I would choose not to, and that's probably not surprising.
The alternative being nothing forever or robot forever.
Not even robot. I mean, because it's not like they're uploading themselves into discrete physical entities and then living forever. It is more like your consciousness now lives on the internet, right. and can run around and just exist, and presumably forever until the internet dies, right. or somebody pulls the plug. And like, to me, that doesn't sound like a particularly great time, and potentially, in fact, an awful time. And of course, I have no instinct or desire towards self-annihilation, but I don't think that, because to some extent, if you can choose to live forever, is anything else suicide, right? Is right. Choosing not to live forever somehow an acknowledgement that you do in fact have an instinct towards self-annihilation? I think that is sort of an interesting question. Right.
But so as long as the two experiences are different, you know, this existence now and the robot existence, like if they're different enough where it's not the same. So like you're making a different choice. But you know, it's not like, you know, if you're dead, you're not busy doing other things. Why not robot? You know, I would rather human life than robot life, but robot life, it sounds better than nothing.
I don't know. I think nothingness is only possible. You can only say that it's nothingness as the outside observer, who is not the thing experiencing the nothingness, right?
But we all experienced nothingness, right? Before we were born, you know, what was I doing in 81 and 79? Nothing, you know. For all that time before, I already did nothing.
Right, except that, so this gets back into sort of a conversation about if you have a discrete beginning and end, but your subjective experience of that timeline is everything, then it is in fact an infinite experience. Yes. It's not finite to the experiencer. Right. And so to then expand your consciousness in such a way that forces you to become an indefinite immortal creature, right? Because now you're not becoming infinite. Instead of being a discrete being that has a beginning and an end and a consciousness that is whose experience of itself is infinite, right? This is think of it as within the confines of a circle exists infinity, right? And within the confines of a line that has a start and an end, mathematically inside that area is in fact infinitely divisible, right? It's a problem. It's a classic problem in math, but it nevertheless, within a defined set, you have an infinite experience as a subjective experiencer of that life. And so to expand beyond that and to become to take that time and make it an indefinite time rather than a confined one, you might actually be losing the infinite in an important way.
Right.
I don't know what that means about your subjective experience of the indefinite. I think it might actually end up being a nightmare. Like, I think that might actually be the definition of a nightmare, is being incapable of waking from or ending the experience of
that's true. Yeah,
what you're being subjected to.
Right. If you don't have an off ramp, like either through natural death or more active dying, then I could see how that would be a problem. Because like if the experience sucks, like you can't just say, well, I'll turn the power off. Like fuck this. Like you have to like exist in this.
Right, but then even if the experience does not suck, if the experience is
then there's
in fact,
no problem. Yeah, if it's great.
But this is what I'm saying. I mentioned, I think, standing in line at a roller coaster, as most people have these sorts of conversations while standing in line for a roller coaster. But like the experience of heaven as infinite good or infinite peace and happiness, how does that become anything but a trap? How does it become anything but like it's? And maybe that speaks to my own inborn cynicism here, but I think it would be wanting. And I know that like the definition of heaven, essentially across many cultures, is the lack of wanting, right? Like it says that's not you will not experience want in that way. I don't buy that you can have an experience of bliss that leaves you satisfied.
Perhaps it's a lack of imagination, Bob. Come on, I'm sure there's a way.
I'm acknowledging that for sure. Yeah. Anyway, check out that book, I guess, if you want. Neil Stephenson, Fall. Anything else, Lori?
Jesus fucking Christ, no.
Hey, have you got anything else for us tonight?
Nope.
Well, I guess that's all we've got for you tonight, then, and we will talk to you next time.
Later.
That's the thing. You'll go to IKEA, and you'll see a bedside table that you like, and it will be positioned next to a bed that goes with the bedside table. And then you'll be like, all right.
Somebody put some thought into this. I didn't, and just do both.
I mean, unless you're particularly attached to that table that you've got over there.
I'm not. I'm not attached to any of these things. Actually, I don't think I'm going to keep the bookshelf either. It doesn't really fit anywhere.
It is so extraordinarily bright in that room with all of the white everywhere.
Well, and it's a whiter white than your old apartment.
Yes. It's a new paint. Yeah, it's a new building. that old dungeon I used to live in.
It doesn't bother you all that?
It does look like a prison cell.
It looks like if the light switch were actually non-functional or positioned entirely out of reach, I wouldn't be surprised. Like they need to keep that light on, blazing at all times.
That's the other thing. I'm gonna get some warmer colored bulbs for the because this is very bright.
Yeah, it's a very institutional white.
Yeah, that's the look that it's going for right now. Very institutional.
No drama on the drive home?
No drama. Although, there was not one but two different Buc-ee's on the way back if you go through 75. I got a little carried away, though. I went to the one in Tennessee, the one that was like 3 hours away from where I am now. But a pound of brisket, which is a ridiculous thing to buy if you're just one person. But, aside, I was like, hey.
That can go in the freezer. It can
$27 a pound. This is a very premium cost for meat.
That is not fucking around.
Yeah. I was like, can I get a pound of this? Like, yeah, sure. And then they just do it. And it went a little over. It was like $30.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm still working through that.
Are you going to freeze any of it, or are you just going to eat it till it's gone?
No, it'll be, it won't come to that. I'll have eaten it by the time you need to do that. Also,
Abe's going to eat only Buc-ee's brisket for 2 years.
Everybody has their own opinions on how you should behave, like with the hazard lights, and it doesn't matter what you tell people.
People with the hazard lights drive me crazy.
They're going to do what they're going to do. It's kind of like it's a pointless, some people are just like, oh, I want you to see me. It's like, that's not what it's for, but okay.
Do they really think that, like, that's better than just the normal taillights when you turn on your headlights because it's raining?
They must, because this information must be out there. I don't know why this is
I think it's a Southern thing. I never saw it until I moved to the South.
I think it's a retarded person thing. It's not a Southern thing.
Okay, but...
The proceeding was created with 100% human content.